All right, Ms. Oker, yes, please.
Alejandro Herrera.
So would you raise your right hand? Take your hand out of your pocket. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. You may be seated.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
There's been a motion to sequester witnesses in the case. All that means is until all the evidence is over in the trial, you can only be in the courtroom when you're testifying. You can talk about your testimony with the other witnesses or let them talk about theirs with you. Thank you. Ms. Oker, please.
Thank you, Ron. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your first and last name for the court?
It's Alejandro Herrera, and that's Alejanddro, and then last name Herrera.
Thank you, sir. Where do you live?
I live in Clarksville, Tennessee.
And are you employed?
I am employed.
How are you employed?
I am an admissions counselor for a state university.
And what university is that?
That is Austin Peay State University.
How long have you had that job?
3.5 years now.
Do you know Philip Chism?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Philip Chism?
I coached him in middle school soccer his 7th and 8th grade year.
Do you otherwise know Philip Chism or his mother, Diana Chism?
Just through middle school soccer.
Now, what is your experience coaching soccer? How long have you coached soccer?
Yeah. I've been coaching soccer continuously since 2008, mostly travel soccer, and then I've got into middle school soccer in 2009 with that middle school.
So what age players do you coach when you coach travel soccer?
When I coach travel soccer, I currently coach 10 and 12-year-olds, so 4th and 6th graders, and I assistant coach a team of 17 and 18-year-olds.
When you, and you said you coach also middle school soccer?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Middle school soccer will begin in February for our tryouts, and then it goes until about the first week of May.
How long have you coached middle school soccer?
It's been about 5 years now.
Have you coached both boys and girls teams?
Yes, this is the first year that I did not coach the middle school girls team, just with time restraints with my current position at work.
How long, I'm sorry, have you also participated in coaching in high school soccer?
I have assistant coach at a high school soccer team.
How long did you coach Philip Chism's soccer team?
I coached his soccer team. His 7th grade year was the first year that I was with that team, and I still coach till this day.
And you had Philip for 2 years, is that right?
Yes, 2 seasons.
Did you, well, first of all, when you coached Philip in soccer, can you describe how he acted or what his behavior was like when you had contact with him?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, with the team that we had his 7th and 8th grade year, it was a very lively bunch, to say the least. And he kind of just was the hard worker, shows up to practice, gets the job done. I didn't have to worry about yelling at him 3,000 times like I would have to do with about the half of the rest of the team, because there was just so much personality on the team all the time, going back and forth. And he was one of maybe 4 or 5 that I would just know, okay, they're going to be one of my good ones today.
Was he respectful with you?
Oh, yeah, very. Everything I asked him to do, yes, sir, no, sir. All right, we'll get it done, coach. Sounds good.
How did he manage with the other players on the team?
Oh, he was great with the other players. Again, like I said, he was just one of the ones I would not have to worry about. The rest of them, I mean, they're 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys, so they were trying to wrestle with each other every chance that they got, pushing each other, joking with each other, and Philip would go to practice, come for soccer, and soccer only.
Now, did you also have contact with Philip on occasions once practice was over?
Yeah, a couple of the boys, we had practice at a very strange time, so it was tough for a lot of people before and after work to get there. So it'd be 4, 5, 6 of the boys would just hang out after practice, and we'd wait for everybody's parents to show up.
How did Philip behave when you were with him during those occasions?
During that, he would just kind of sit there. I would tease and give jokes and things like that with all the boys, and he would just kind of laugh and smirk and kind of just go along with it. With the rest of the boys were all like trying to wrestle again and be rambunctious. He would just kind of smile about it.
Now, did Philip, or what position did he ordinarily play?
Okay. Philip, he was one of my top scorers his 8th grade year. He was just one of the fastest players in the league that year. And so we put him on top to score goals for us. Towards the end of the season, we had to change that up, though. He wasn't scoring as much. We had one of our younger players step up out of nowhere and start helping us out a whole lot. And so what we did was my assistant coach came to me and said, hey, what do you think about moving Philip to defense? I was just like, well, I don't know if he's ever played that. But, hey, let's try it. Why not? And it ended up taking us all the way to the championship.
How did Philip respond to being asked to play defense instead of offense?
Well, that was something that I was concerned about because during my playing days, if anybody would ever ask me to give up scoring goals and the glory of all that in sports, I would have been completely against it. But, I explained it to him. I said, hey, you're going to win us the game from playing defense, and he was all for it, jumped to it, never complained about it, and played the position the whole time.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
The next witness is a minor.
Okay. Be no video or photography of the next witness.
Rania Radowi.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Do you attend school?
Yes,
How old are you?
16.
What grade are you in?
I'm a junior,
And what school do you attend?
Danvers High School.
Now, in the fall of 2013, did you also attend Danvers High School?
Yes,
What grade were you in at that time?
I was a freshman.
In the fall of 2013, did you come to know Philip Chism?
Yes,
How did you get to know him?
he was a classmate of mine.
How many classes were you in together?
3.
Did that change at some point?
Yes,
And so how many at what point roughly did it change?
about a couple weeks into school, and then it was only one class that we were in together.
What was that class?
Math.
Who was your teacher?
Miss Ritzer.
Now, before the change in classes, what were the other classes that Philip Chism was in with you?
Biology and history.
And did you have occasion to work with him in history class?
I guess I did.
Can you tell us about that? What that arrangement was?
It was about 2 minutes before we switched partners, but we just stated it was a getting to know you activity, so we just stated what we knew about each other. And he said that he spoke a couple languages, which I did too, so I could relate to.
So was that something you talked with him about, languages?
Yeah.
In math class, where did you sit in relation to each other?
I was a seat away from him, so it was me, another student, and then him.
Okay. In your time in the early weeks of that fall, when you were in class with Philip Chism, how would you describe his behavior?
Quiet. That's all.
When you talked with him, for example, when you had that get-to-know-you exercise in history, was he friendly?
Yeah.
Now, as it got closer to late October and the time of Miss Ritzer's death, did Philip Chism's behavior change to your observation or to your knowledge?
Not really.
Well, had he, prior to late October, worked in small groups in class?
Yes.
I do think the question is leading, and I assume that's the grounds for the objection. It's within the court's discretion under Mass Evidence Guide 611B to allow some leeway here, and I will, despite the leading nature of the question.
Thank you. Had he, in the early weeks, worked in groups in class?
Yes.
Did that change at some point?
Yeah.
Was that sometime in October that it changed?
Yep.
How did it change?
Well, we all worked in groups together, but sometimes we chose to work alone. It was a normal thing, depending on the activity.
Okay, and specifically as to Philip Chism, did you notice him choosing not to work in groups?
Yes, but it wasn't odd. It was
Okay.
normal.
Now, to bring your attention to Tuesday, October 22nd of 2013, were you in class with Philip Chism that day, math class?
Yes.
What did you notice about what he was doing or not doing in class that day?
Not taking notes, not paying attention,
Did you notice him doing anything instead of that?
drawing.
Could you see him drawing?
I could see he was doing something in his notebook, but I couldn't see the drawings.
Okay. And did Ms. Ritzer speak with him about him not doing his work in class that day?
At some point, yeah.
And what did she ask him to do as a result of that?
To stay after.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have nothing for this one, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll just take the seat, Doctor, and place his honor for one brief moment.
Have a seat. Make yourself comfortable, Doctor. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
There's a sequestration order, but I'll explain it to you when the jury's in the room. All right. Thank you. Yes, please, Ms. Regan.
Could you state your name, please?
My name is Dr. Anthony Jackson,
And could you spell your first and last name?
Anthony Jackson.
And where are you employed?
I'm employed at the Worcester Recovery Center and Hospital.
And what's your profession?
I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist.
And when did you graduate from medical school?
1971.
And how long have you been a practicing psychiatrist?
I've been a practicing psychiatrist since 1974 and practicing child and adolescent psychiatry since 1978.
And are you board certified?
Yes, I am in adult psychiatry and in child and adolescent.
How long have you worked at Worcester State Hospital?
Since March of 2012.
And where did you work prior to that?
I worked at the Taunton State Hospital.
And how long did you work there?
Approximately 7 years. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think that's approximate.
Now, what is your position at Worcester State Hospital?
I'm the medical director for the adolescent continuing care units at the hospital.
And how long have you been in that position?
That's the position I held since I came to the hospital in 2012.
And what are your responsibilities?
My responsibilities are to supervise the adolescents who are admitted to the hospital, primarily the adolescent programs, and to supervise the psychiatrists who are treating the patients. I also have direct care responsibilities for a number of patients who are on our units and in the hospital.
How long has your practice focused on children and adolescents?
I've worked with children and adolescents since 1983. I think with one exception, and that was when I spent some time at the Worcester State Hospital on an adult unit.
And what has been your role in working with children and adolescents as a psychiatrist?
Primarily been a medical patient care. for many years at the Leonard Morris Hospital, which is now a part of Metro West Medical Center in Natick. I left that facility to become the medical director of an adolescent intensive care unit at Taunton State Hospital. And when that unit closed, I made care of adult patients.
Overall, during the course of your career, have you been a treating psychiatrist?
Been treating patients directly in the hospital as well.
Now, in addition to your academic appointment at UMass Medical School, have you had others in the past?
I've had a number of academic appointments at some time in the past now. I believe one was with Tufts University and one was with Boston University.
Now, are you a member of professional organizations?
I am.
Are you a member of the American Psychiatric Association?
Yes, I am.
And could you explain your status with them?
I am a Distinguished Lifetime Fellow.
What does that mean?
It's primarily an honorific status, but it means that you have time with their organization at various times in the past.
Are there other professional organizations that you're a member of?
Yes, I'm a member of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, where I'm active on a number of committees. I've worked with the American Academy for many years.
And what are the committees?
I'm a task force for the development of electronic medical records, and I'm on a task force for improving access for children and adolescents to psychiatric care.
And have you in the past chaired committees for
Yes,
these
I have.
organizations?
Mm-hmm.
And can you give an example of the committees that you've chaired?
Within the American Academy, I've chaired the Healthcare Access and
Now, have you had hospital appointments?
Yes, I have.
What does that mean, to have a hospital appointment?
Hospital appointments involve the review of your credentials with primary source verification and a review of your the privileges you've requested to practice within the hospital. When those are all reviewed and you are given privileges or an appointment, you then have an obligation to work with the hospital and follow their bylaws and be a member of the medical staff and so on.
Now, I believe that you said it was in the mid-'80s where you started working as an adolescent and child psychiatrist. Can you give us an overview of the different positions you've held since then? Since you
yes,
began?
I'll do my best.
I certainly don't mean to step on Ms. Regan's direct. She's welcome to continue, but the Commonwealth is certainly not contesting Dr. Jackson's credentials at all.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you want me to go on?
Well, maybe I can just,
Okay.
you worked as a treating psychiatrist at Metro West Medical Center?
That's right. I worked as the medical director for their child development unit and served as the principal child psychiatrist for some years as well.
And you also worked at Taunton State Hospital
I did.
for quite a few years, correct?
Mm-hmm. I did.
And what was your role there?
As I said, I had two roles. One was a medical director for an acute residential inpatient program. And when that program was closed by the state, I became an attending psychiatrist on an adult long-term care unit.
Now, you also have worked as a consultant, as a child and adolescent psychiatric consultant for the Learning Center for the Deaf, correct?
That's correct.
And you've done that since 1992.
Yes, correct.
And you have written peer review articles, correct?
Yes.
And what are peer review articles?
Peer review articles are articles in scientific journals which are reviewed by one's peers and critiqued for their scientific validity.
And it's fair to say that the last peer review article that you wrote was in 1985, correct?
I think that's correct.
And the title of that was Teaching Pediatric Psychopharmacology, an Interdisciplinary Model, correct?
That is correct.
And that was in the American Academy Journal of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, correct?
Correct.
Were you Philip Chism's treating psychiatrist in October of 2015?
I was.
And where was that at?
It was at the Worcester Recovery Center and Hospital, where I'm presently an attending physician, and Philip was treated on an adult forensic unit, C1.
Was he inpatient or outpatient?
He was inpatient.
And approximately how long was he inpatient?
Approximately 2.5 weeks.
And as his treating psychiatrist, what was your role?
Well, my role was to evaluate his clinical state, to do an evaluation for the presence or absence of mental illness, to assure his safety, to coordinate the treatment team's efforts to do a clinical evaluation. Was my role.
Now, at the end of Mr. Chism's stay at Worcester Recovery Center, did you reach a diagnosis?
I did.
And what was that diagnosis?
I made 2 diagnoses for Mr. Chism. One was a depressive state, a major depression, and the other was a brief transient psychotic episode.
Can you explain what a brief transient psychotic episode is?
It's a formal diagnostic term, but it's a generic term as well. It applies to experiences of people who become acutely disorganized in their behavior, their language, their thought, and aren't able to cope with day-to-day functioning.
And what does it mean to be psychotic or have psychosis?
That again is a generic term, so it can apply to a number of different mental conditions or diagnoses, but psychosis generally means the experience of symptoms which severely impair one's ability to deal with day-to-day reality.
Now, what did you rely on in making your diagnoses? I'd ask you not to get into the details, but just tell us your sources of information that you relied on.
I will have to hear counsel at the sidebar on the issue.
Dr. Jackson.
Yes.
In forming your diagnosis, you relied on information from a number of sources, correct?
Yes, I did.
You received a report from a court psychologist, correct?
That's correct.
You received 2 reports of psychological testing done in the fall of 2015, correct?
That's correct.
And you met with Philip Chism on a number of occasions, correct?
That is correct.
And you had the input from the rest of your treatment team, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That included people that work on the ward, correct?
That's right.
And other professionals that came in contact with Mr. Chism.
Yes.
Now, was there anything else that you relied on in forming your opinion?
Not primarily. Those were the sources.
Now, you had an opportunity to make observations of Philip Chism while he was at Worcester Recovery Center, correct?
Yes.
Without telling us anything that Philip Chism said to you, can you tell us what psychological symptoms or psychiatric symptoms you personally observed in Philip Chism?
Yes, I will. First of all, I tried to see Philip every working day that I was in the hospital, albeit for brief periods of time. During those visits, Philip seemed to me to be significantly withdrawn. He seemed to me to be unable to really coherently describe what his experience was on a day-to-day basis. He needed the help of a lot of direct questions just about his daily functioning. He stayed in his room a great deal, often reading books that I think were language instruction books, not venturing out of the room, and occasionally then in the evening playing chess with the attendants who were with him. So his functioning, even in a very structured setting, was at a pretty low level. He also seemed to me to be significantly emotionally withdrawn and disconnected. So without that, those were my direct observations.
During Mr. Chism's stay at Worcester Recovery Center, did you prescribe any medication?
Yes, I did.
And what did you prescribe?
Risperidone.
And what is risperidone?
Risperidone is a second-generation antipsychotic medication that's quite efficacious for helping people organize their thinking.
And how long was Philip at the hospital before you prescribed the medication?
I'm not sure I can remember that exactly. There were a number of things we had to do before we were able to prescribe the medication, among them get his mom's permission to do so. So I was with him for at least, I would say, a week or a week and a half before prescribing the medication.
Did you notice an effect of the medication on Mr. Chism after he began taking it?
I did.
Can you explain?
Mr. Chism was significantly more present and engaged and willing to talk and have an interaction with me, and that observation was shared by other staff members and by the treatment team. Mr. Chism also himself noted the change and asked for a second dose of medication.
What significance do you attribute to this change in Philip Chism after taking the medication?
My formulation of the change is that Philip was experiencing significant anxiety and depression prior to the administration of the medication, and that those strong emotions were partly to blame for the disorganization of his thinking. When he was able to be calmer and less anxious, he was better able to organize his thinking and his communication with others.
Did you consider malingering? And first I must ask you, what is malingering?
Malingering is the endorsement of symptoms that aren't in fact present in order to avoid the consequences of legal proceeding, for instance, or other consequences that might be perceived as unwelcome to a person.
Did you consider malingering?
I did.
And can you explain how you considered it as regards Mr. Chism?
I understood that Mr. Chism had endorsed many symptoms that were so frequent that it was unlikely that these particular symptoms were the result of mental illness and were likely to indicate that Mr. Chism was falsely endorsing a number of serious symptoms.
And did you find that Mr. Chism was malingering?
In his contact with me, no. That being said, I specifically avoided a number of the probes and queries of the evaluations which I knew had already been done, so I confined myself to my experience with talking with Mr. Chism himself.
If in fact Mr. Chism was engaging in malingering, how would that affect your diagnoses?
The diagnosis of malingering doesn't preclude other diagnoses. So in my work with Mr. Chism, I tried to focus specifically on what was going on for him on a day-to-day basis and what his experience was subjectively. I didn't focus on the proceedings that were underway or focus on areas that might call upon him or anyone else to fabricate or imagine symptoms.
Do people with serious mental illness exaggerate their symptoms?
Yes, frequently.
And if you find that they exaggerate their symptoms, does that rule out a severe mental illness?
No, not necessarily.
Can you explain?
Well, yeah. When a person's exaggerating their symptoms, there's an element of anxiety about their situation. And that anxiety, in my mind, it has relevance to their exaggeration. That doesn't mean that they're not also experiencing symptoms that are more directly connected with another mental illness.
Okay. If I may have a moment.
Sure.
Let's see, hold on, I'm sorry. During Philip's hospitalization, did you personally observe him visit with anyone?
Yes, I did. I observed him visiting with his mother.
Thank you, I have no further questions.
Okay, cross-examination, please, Ms. McDermott.
Dr. Jackson, people without mental illness also malinger, isn't that true?
That's certainly true.
And in fact, people facing serious criminal charges without mental illness are at great risk for malingering.
That's possible. I'm not an expert on malingering.
Well, in fact, you testified that some of the sources of information you had informing your opinion was testing done in the early fall. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That was certain psychological testing done by Dr. Kelly Casey and Dr. Nancy Hebben, correct?
That is correct.
And that testing, in fact, indicated a likelihood of malingering on the part of the defendant, Philip Chism.
I had the test, I didn't have the test protocols, but I had the test reports, and I had them reviewed by our psychology department, and they confirmed that those tests were positive for the presence of malingering.
Now, when you were treating Mr. Chism in October of 2015, were you asked at all to look at his mental state in October of 2013?
No, I was not.
Your sole purpose was providing accurate treatment and assessment of Mr. Chism in October of 2015, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, your ultimate diagnosis was that in October of 2015, he was suffering from an acute depressive state, is that correct?
Correct.
And that he was had experienced a brief transient psychotic episode.
Correct.
And fair to say brief and transient have their common meaning?
That's right.
And certainly when he was discharged from the hospital on November 4th, you did not believe he was still in the throes of this episode.
That's correct.
And you have no idea when it started, is that correct?
No, I would not.
And in fact, one of your concerns, both in your initial evaluation of Mr. Chism and your ultimate diagnosis, was that the trigger for this brief transient psychotic episode was the stress of trial.
That's correct.
And in fact, Mr. Chism, the beginning process of Mr. Chism's trial had started on October 7th of 2015. Is that correct?
I believe so.
So less than a week before his admission to Worcester Recovery Center.
Correct.
And you were asked on direct about Mr. Chism being inpatient at Worcester Recovery Center. In fact, he was inpatient at Worcester Recovery Center under a court order. Is that correct?
Objection.
His admission status was Section 15B, an evaluation of competency.
Ordered by the court.
Ordered by the court.
If counsel wishes to be seen at the sidebar relative to any limiting instruction, I'd be happy to see you. If not, I will. Did you wish to be seen, Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence that you heard that the defendant was at Worcester Recovery on a court order can be considered for you by you on a very limited purposes so that you can understand the direct testimony relative to the inpatient treatment. You can't consider that in any way as it relates to anything concerning the defendant's character or indeed anything concerning the defendant's mental state in October of 2013.
Dr. Jackson, you described, I believe, on direct, and correct me if I'm wrong, a brief transient psychotic episode as being, the hallmarks of that being that the individual is acutely disorganized in behavior and thought. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in fact, the hallmark of that diagnosis is disorganized behavior and thought, correct?
Correct.
Not organized, not purposeful behavior and thought.
That's correct.
And you indicated that you, at some point during his stay of October 15th to November 4th, you prescribed Risperdal, correct?
That's correct.
Is the fact that Risperdal improved someone in any way, someone's behavior or how someone feels, does that in any way confirm a particular diagnosis, or are there multiple things that Risperdal can assist with?
There are multiple things it can assist with.
And one of those things is a personality disorder, correct?
I would say no.
Okay. You wouldn't prescribe Risperdal for a personality disorder?
No, definitely not.
Are you aware that others would?
I'm not aware, but, they may.
And in fact, there's really no treatment for a personality disorder, is there?
That's correct. As far as I can tell, there's no pharmacologic treatment for personality disorder.
Okay.
There are treatments that are psychosocial, but personality disorders are not accessible primarily by pharmacology.
And doctor, what's a personality disorder?
Personality, well, I'm not sure that I'm qualified to give you an academic view of it, but it's a disorder of functioning with other people and in one's life that chronically exposes them to outcomes that are less than ideal for themselves or others, that people make poor choices in their lives.
There's an absence of empathy.
For some personality disorders, yes. For others, no.
There can be an absence of being able to make connections with other people.
That's true.
And there's an absence of remorse for any conduct one engages in. Is that correct?
Again, for some personality disorders.
Well, specifically antisocial personality disorder would be a disorder for which those things are true. Is that correct?
Objection.
Well, if counsel needs to be seen at the sidebar, I will. I certainly can, I better say it at the sidebar. I'll see counsel at the sidebar.
Do you need me to repeat the question, Doctor?
Yes, please.
With respect to each of the things I just described, are those present in someone with an antisocial personality disorder?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Now, Doctor, when Mr. Chism arrived at Worcester Recovery Center, that was October 15th of 2015, is that correct?
Correct.
And on October 16th of 2015, you completed a comprehensive psychiatric evaluation. You dictated it, at least.
Right.
Okay. And then ultimately your diagnosis is contained in your discharge note of November 3rd of 2015.
That's correct.
Sir, but as early as October 16th, when you dictated your comprehensive psychiatric evaluation, you had already concluded on an admitting diagnostic profile for Mr. Chism. Is that correct?
I don't actually, to be honest, don't recall what I said in the comprehensive.
Would having an opportunity to review it assist you?
If you like.
Yeah, approach this one.
Sure.
Not sure what you're referring to.
And I apologize for my highlights, I can draw your attention to page 7, although you're welcome to review whatever part of the document you want.
I've read the highlights. Is that what you want me to respond to?
Does that, I don't want to mislead you. If the highlighted portion does indicate you reached an initial diagnosis or an admitting diagnosis for Mr. Chism.
No, it really doesn't. It means that the symptoms are consistent with the diagnosis, but it doesn't mean that I've made a conclusive diagnosis by any means.
No, and what I asked you is if that was the admitting diagnosis. In fact, that's what it says, isn't it?
Yes, that's what it says.
Okay. So understanding this was not your conclusion, this was your admitting diagnosis.
That's correct.
And can you explain to us how Axis 1, Axis 2, Axis 3 works in terms, and so on the DSM-5?
Yes, okay. Axis 1 refers to mental illness that is the focus of treatment. Axis 2 refers to either personality disorders or to developmental neurocognitive impairments which may affect a person's overall functioning. And Axis 3 is physical illnesses, impairments, past problems of a medical nature.
Okay. And with respect to Philip Chism, the Axis 1 diagnostic profile on October 16th was transient stress-induced psychotic episode, nonspecific. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then a note to rule out a nonspecific mood disorder.
That's correct.
And for Axis 2, which you indicated as personality disorders, you have a note to rule out a schizotypal personality disorder. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And also under Axis 2 to rule out malingering. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But ultimately, you didn't do a greater assessment of Philip Chism for malingering. You essentially tried to assess whether he was malingering with you. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, he had already been assessed for malingering at that point.
And what is a schizotypal personality? Well, let me ask you this. Is a schizotypal personality disorder schizophrenia or something different?
It's something different, and I was trying to reach for a descriptive term which would capture a lack of connection with other people.
Okay. And in fact, similarly, schizoaffective disorder, that's not schizophrenia either.
That's a matter of debate. In my view, schizoaffective disorder is one of the subcategories of schizophrenia.
Okay. But in fact, on discharge, which was your conclusion with respect to Mr. Chism, you indicate that the experience he's reported to you did not seem characteristic of schizophrenic illness. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And ultimately, you did not, understanding you can't, fair to say you could not diagnose someone of Mr. Chism's age with schizophrenia. Is that correct?
One can make the diagnosis of schizophrenia in childhood and adolescence. It's less common, but it is possible to make that.
But in fact, in this case, you found what he was reporting was not consistent with schizophrenic illness.
That was my conclusion, yes.
So your conclusions were that he was suffering from a depressive state and a brief transient psychotic episode.
Correct.
That was over by the time he left the hospital, and you don't know when it commenced. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
But certainly a week prior to his admission, he was under the enormous stress of the beginning of a murder trial, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree with me that having a fair amount of anxiety and depression and stress over being on trial for murder would not be irrational.
Oh, right, I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
If I could just have one moment. Now, Dr. Jackson, the things you described, you described making certain observations of Mr. Chism in October of 2015 that led you to believe he was suffering from this disorganization of mood and thought. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you also had an opportunity to make certain observations of Mr. Chism in June of 2014. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in June of 2014, you did not make observations of Mr. Chism that led you to believe he was experiencing disorganization of mood or...
Hold on. We'll have the entire question again, please.
In June of 2014, you did not make observations of Philip Chism that led you to believe he was suffering from disorganization of mood or thought. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you would agree with me that June of 2014 is a lot closer to October of 2013 than October of 2015 is.
That's by the calendar, yes.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay. Read the record, please.
In 2014, you had an opportunity to make observations of Philip Chism. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Were you able to do a clinical interview of him in 2014?
Can we be seen?
Sure.
Dr. Jackson, does stress cause psychotic episodes absent mental illness?
Yes, it can.
Can you explain?
Well, when stress is sufficient, the body's response to fight or flight, for instance, becomes so severe that folks begin experiencing anxiety in their thinking, in their bodies. A good example of this is the post-traumatic stress disorder of soldiers who have to go through war and experience post-traumatic stress and then develop symptoms that are, to some extent, psychotic in nature.
So, but once the person is having the psychotic episode, it is a mental illness?
Yes.
Now, after you started Mr. Chism on the medication, he continued on it during his stay at Worcester Recovery Center, right?
Yes, he did.
And did you prescribe him to continue?
Yes, I did.
And why did you prescribe him to continue on the medication?
I thought that the medication had produced a material benefit in terms of his ability to be present, to function, to communicate with others, and a material reduction in his anxiety. He told me when he was in the hospital.
I'm sorry, you have to stop there.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there was an admitting diagnostic profile that you compiled, correct?
That's right.
And is it fair to characterize that as a working hypothesis?
That's correct.
And it's just a starting point for your evaluation of your patient?
That's correct. It's a requirement to create a diagnostic profile as a result of that evaluation.
If I could have a moment.
Sure.
further questions. Dr. Jackson, you recommended that he remain on the Risperdal. You just testified on redirect, I think it was. Is that correct?
I did.
But in fact, the morning before he was due to go back to court, his last full day in the hospital, he just chose to...
Correct.
Is it common occasionally refuse their medication?
Yes.
I'll overrule the objection. Anything further,
I would just ask one further question.
Sure.
Dr. Jackson, did he refuse his medication any other time during his stay?
Not that I'm aware of.
I have nothing further.
Any redirect?
No.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do is give you an instruction relative to the view, and before I get into the instructions on the view, let me tell you that we can leave at 11:45, but we don't have to leave at 11:45. In other words, make sure you're comfortable before we leave. And I will also tell you that there is a restroom on the bus. We're not going on some lousy bus without shock absorbers. So I hope that alleviates some of the natural concern that some of you may have. So, members of the jury, you're about to visit a place about which you have been hearing testimony and will hear testimony during the trial. In court terminology, we call this a view. The purpose of the view is to help you better understand the evidence that you have heard and will hear during the trial, and to help you appreciate the location and the surroundings. The view that you will take is part of this case. The observations that you make while you are on the view may be used and considered by you in your deliberations in reaching a verdict. The places where you will go are as follows: Danvers High School and grounds, including stopping and walking around. BJ's Warehouse, where we'll just stop but not get out of the bus. AMC Liberty Tree Mall, stop outside but don't get out of the bus. Drive by and point out Wendy's while exiting the Liberty Tree Mall, a location on Route 1 in Topsfield, and then we will return to court. The attorneys and I will accompany you on the view. The attorneys may point out to you arrangements of the scene and items at locations that they want you to take notice of, but otherwise they may not discuss anything in regard to this case with you. While you are on the view, you are not to take any notes, not to bring your notebooks, not to take sketches. You are not to conduct any independent investigation while we are there, or indeed at any point during this trial. You are not to return to the scene until a verdict has been returned in this case. What you are to do on a view can really be broken down or summarized by two words you're very familiar with: stop and look. Your responsibility is to see the place, observe it carefully, and remember what you observe. During your trip to and from the places I have mentioned, you are not to discuss this case or anything about this case among yourselves or with anybody else. You will be under the supervision of the court officers at all times, and you will remain together until you are returned to court unless the court officers direct you otherwise. There will be cruisers in front and behind the bus. Under no circumstances Should any of
jury upon the premises, place, or places in question, and suffer them to view the same place, property, or thing which they may deem necessary for the determination of the issue, that you will not permit the parties to enter into a debate within the hearing of the jury, nor any person to speak to them, unless it be the assistant district attorneys or the attorneys for the defendant, and they only to point out such things as they deem necessary for the determination of the issue, and that you will keep this jury together until they shall have returned into court, unless the court shall otherwise order, so help you God.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're ready, let the court officers know. Court will be in recess.
All rise.
Is present for tomorrow's Daubert hearing.
All right, and you've had enough time to talk about this as you have in the past previously when...
Mr. Osler has.
Mr. Osler, all right, thank you. All right, I'm going to have to ask some questions if we could swear in the defendant, please.
Mr. Chism, would you please stand, sir? Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear you will make true answers to such questions that may be put to you by the court or upon its direction, so help you God? You may put your hands.
Sir, again, I'm not going to repeat questions that I've already asked you that are not required to be repeated. Have you taken any prescription medication, narcotics, or alcohol today, sir?
Yes.
What have you taken?
Prescription medication.
Okay, and is it in any way interfering with your ability to understand what's going on?
No.
Do you feel like you have a clear mind right now and understand what's happening, sir?
Yes.
All right, sir, it's my understanding through your attorneys that you wish to waive your presence, give up your right to be present tomorrow for a hearing that's going to take place outside the presence of the jury. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, the hearing tomorrow is important. Everything in a trial is a criminal stage of the proceedings where you have a right to be present. You also have a right to waive your presence, however. But the hearing tomorrow is going to be about whether a witness can testify and also whether Dr. Dudley can rely on that witness in his expert opinion. It's a very important hearing. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes.
And have you had enough time to talk to Mr. Osler and your other attorneys, if necessary, about the decision not to be here tomorrow afternoon for the hearing?
Yes.
And is it your desire not to be present, sir?
Yes.
Has anyone forced you or threatened you to make that decision?
No.
Have you had enough time to discuss it with your attorneys?
Yes.
Are you confused by any of the questions I've asked you?
No.
Are you deciding to give up your presence tomorrow afternoon willingly, voluntarily, and understanding the implications?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. I just find the decision to waive presence being made knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently, and the waiver for the hearing tomorrow is hereby accepted. All right. Court will be in...
All rise. Court will be